Hello and welcome back to Whole Home Revival. Today is a very exciting day because we are extending the garden space. So we are going to be moving the fence out and over, adding 3 new 8x4 beds, and hopefully getting those filled up today with some soil. And I'm also hoping to get my potatoes in the ground. So I'm going to bring you along while we get those tasks taken care of. Julian will be building the beds and I'll be working on the potatoes.
For those of you who don't know me personally, I dreamed of homesteading for years, and probably for at least 10 years. I borrowed books in the library, I went to conferences, listened to podcast episodes and webinars online, and just researched and made mental notes and actual notes, and really could not wait until we had our own little bit of land to make my homestead dreams come true. And when we moved into this home, almost 5 years ago, we moved in the late summer. So we started our very first garden the following spring. We started with 6 beds that he made me. And now with the addition of these 3 beds, now we are up to 14 8x4 raised beds.
Daddy's building Mama new garden beds. So this back wall is going to come out quite a bit, maybe 5 to 10 feet. And we're just moving that fencing to add the 3 more beds. And then Julian is going to make a more permanent wooden fence this summer and fall.
I know I've mentioned this in previous videos, but Julian's love language is acts of service, and he has really come through with all of my garden dreams, bringing them to life. When I dream up big things like having more garden beds, more rain barrels, bees, any of the things I dream up for our backyard, he never tells me no. It's always, let's figure out how we can do this. Let's make a plan. And I'm definitely the dreamer when it comes to the garden and the homesteading, and he's the doer, and he's the one that's practical and gets the pieces together and figures out how he's going to actually do it, and I get to do the enjoyable part like the planting. And I'm just so thankful for him. I'm thankful that we work well together and that he listens and cares about my dreams. It's very important, and I do the same for him, of course. It's just really nice when we do things like this together, and brings us together doing things that we both enjoy. And Julian is definitely one who wants to get it right the first time around. And I'm typically one that kind of cuts corners to get it done quicker. So in this way, I just follow his lead because he's going to get it right the first time. And it may take him a little bit longer, but we won't be making modifications later because he did the work up front. So we are just doing some measurements here to make sure that we have the fence out far enough to add these 3 beds. And we want to make sure the spacing is the same between them as they are in the previous beds that he's made. And you may be wondering why we didn't kill the grass before putting these beds in. And you'll see here in a few moments that we actually kill the grass by just laying down cardboard over it and then putting the soil and compost directly on top of the cardboard. We've done this since day one and it's worked really well for us. It breaks down eventually, and we are pulling compost from our compost piles, so we're not having to wait for that cardboard to break down to get worms into the soil. We're getting the compost, which already has plenty of worms, and it's healthy, happy soil. We have about 1/3 of an acre between both our front and back lots. Our backyard is very deep, and like I said previously, we now have 14 8x4 beds, as well as plenty of flower beds, perennial beds around our home and garage, and a couple other things tucked here and there. I also have peach tree and 2 apple trees. We have blackberry bushes, blueberry bushes. We have 3 rain barrels. We have a large compost pile. I do have clothing lines to dry my clothes outside. And we now not only have 1 hive, but we do have 2 hives for bees. So our homesteading, well, my homesteading dreams slowly but surely have been coming together. And it'll be 5 years this summer that we've been in this home. And we have done so much in just 5 short years. I really can't think of anything that we haven't done yet that I have wanted to do since getting this homestead started. We did have to buy some store-bought soil in order to fill these beds because we did not have a large enough compost pile to fill the 3 beds completely full. So we did a combination of soil bought from Home Depot, our compost, and got these beds filled after laying down the cardboard to kill the grass. And we've been doing this for years and it works great. And I'm going to show you here in a few moments what the compost pile looks like for us. What are you doing, handsome? Are you a big boy? You are a big boy. Big boy.
You're cutest. You know that?
It's time to get the potatoes in the ground. I've added bags of compost to each bed. I am planting 2 8x4 beds of potatoes. I believe these are Kennebec potatoes. I picked these because More Than Farmer suggested them as good storage crops that last well in storage, so that's why I went with this variety. And I ordered them online. I'll leave the link in the description box. I'm not sure if they still have them for sale, but definitely could do that for next season. And this is mid-April when I'm planting these. They are now here in mid-May, very well established. I have green sprouts that are probably about 1.5 to 2 inches tall. And I am just really enjoying getting my hands in the dirt for the first time this season. So I'm using my handy Dollar Tree ruler that gets me my correct distancing between plants, between rows, even the depth of how far I want the potato to be planted. Really easy way, cheap way to get correct spacing. Get yourself a plastic ruler for $1 from the Dollar Tree. So I have compost, fertilizer, correct spacing, time to get those potatoes in. The olive potatoes have sprouted. They look great. There are multiple sprouts on the potatoes. I decided to keep my potatoes whole. Some decide to cut their potatoes into smaller chunks and have more opportunity to grow potatoes. I didn't have the space for it, and so I just thought, might as well just keep them whole, and we have enough for 2 full beds, and that's what I decided to do. So I'm just gently covering those potatoes back up with the soil. I made 2 beds. Each bed has 2 rows of potatoes. You may be wondering what Julian's doing here. He's adding a piece of wood to the bed so that the soil doesn't escape due to an unlevel ground. That way the soil stays right where it needs to be. And that's something probably that I wouldn't have done, but here again, Julian does things the right way the first time around. So that is what he is doing. And then I'm just starting my second bed of potato planting there in the background. So you can see that I'm using the ruler and I'm planting these seeds about a foot in between each. And then I have, these beds are 4 feet across, so I think I have about a foot from each side in before I get the potatoes planted, and then 2 feet between the rows. Even if the weather is calling for rain, always water in your seeds and your plants and your crops. Always, always. So Julian is working our compost pile here. There's things in here that have not quite broken down yet. He's trying to get the stuff off to the side and get into the stuff underneath that is ready to be used. And then you can see he pulled out the big guns and has a tiller out, and he's going to till it all together.
I better go help Daddy. Alright, let's go help Daddy.
Julian is filling up my new beds with the material from the compost pile. Mainly at this point, it is leaves that I used as mulch over the winter on all of my beds, and the soil underneath the food material. There are some chunks of food that made it into these beds, and I just pulled them off to the side and put them back in the compost pile when he was done. And we were able to get a good chunk of these beds filled with this material, which saved us quite a bit of money instead of having to buy all of that soil from Home Depot. Now, of course, you will have things sprout because this is living soil. I have cucumbers and tomatoes and produce from the grocery store that goes into that pile. So since these were put in a month ago, I have had multiple cucumbers pop up out of these beds. That's not a problem for me. If I don't want them, of course, I just pull them out or I can put them somewhere else. But just keep that in mind if you're new to composting, that you will have sprouts because it is real, raw, organic matter that is composting into the soil. I was thrilled that we were able to get all 3 beds made, the fence out and moved over. It's a temporary solution until he makes a permanent fence. And we were able to fill up the 3 beds, and then I also was able to plant my 2 beds of potatoes, all in one long afternoon in the backyard on a Sunday after church. It was a lot of hard work, but I am so thankful that it was done, and now I have my largest garden to date with 14 8x4 beds, and believe me when I say all of those beds are already spoken for. Thank you so much for watching our newest YouTube video. We are so glad you're here, and we hope that you subscribe to be alerted for future videos. You can also find me over on my blog at wholehomerevival.com and on Instagram at wholehomerevival. Thank you so much for being a part of our garden adventures and our family life, and please stay tuned for future videos and share with your friends and family. We'd love to have them here as well. Thank you so much.